if there is something I need to do, please let me know.
At our last meeting, I explained that I would prefer that the agenda not be changed. That whatever we get in our book is what we're going to have for that night. Because I think we all would like to know what's in the book, what needs to be researched, what we need to do. Only in the event that we have an emergency, that's something that you need to bring or one of the other commissioners needs to bring, would we change something? I would.
I'm not trying to open a big can of worms, but the whole reason that I spoke up is I wanted to know, are we going to do just what you said? Are we going to have an agenda that we go on, or is anything
Jim, we have an agenda. Are you talking about the December meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. As I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, we had an agenda at the December meeting, correct?
Yes, sir, we did.
Okay. And we had a closed session. It was my understanding that the purpose of the closed session was to discuss personnel.
That is correct.
We can't discuss that out in item number 4 or item number 7. So I guess I really don't understand what you're saying, Jim.
Well, what I'm saying, sir, is the majority of the board had previously decided to discharge the manager. You knew it was going to happen. To say that that needed to be discussed in personnel is not correct, Mr. Rice. There was no real discussion about it. Right before we ended the closed session to go back in open session, Mr. Brigman advised Mr. Lamberson and Mr. Briggs and myself that Mr. Lamberson was going to be fired and that Forrest Gill was going to be put in as manager. What has started my problem then, sir, is I don't think that's an appropriate way for a business to be run, or a meeting to conduct its business. And if I have done something wrong by not going by the agenda in the past, Mr. Brigman, like about the old jail, then I should not have done that, and I'm sorry, but I don't really see that those are the same thing. That, of course, was a unanimous vote without any opposition. And then I recognize this later. I'm not trying to start the thing about Mr. Lamberson again, honestly not. But that's why the whole thing came up, is are we going to have things sprung on us? And please, let's not try to find reasons to say that it wasn't sprung on us. Of course it was sprung on us. It was sprung on Mr. Lamberson too, and let's be honest about it. And I don't want us to do things like that. Sue Vilzinskas and Hall Moore and Mr. Brigman and Mr. Briggs and I didn't have problems along that line. At least I don't think we do. We all got along pretty well. I'm really sorry to see them go, no offense to y'all. But I don't want us to do things like that in the future. I don't think it's fair for the public. Because you just said the public needs to know. We have a right to know. Everybody needs to know what's going to be done in the meeting. So I would like for us to have an agenda. I would like for us to have the opportunity to amend that agenda at the beginning of the meeting, but I wouldn't like us to be blindsided, or for you all to be blindsided by something that might pop up in the middle of the meeting that that has already been decided and already been done beforehand. I don't think that's appropriate, Mr. Rice.
I don't think that, with talking to Mr. Laws, we cannot discuss personnel in open session. So in order to do any discussion on personnel, we have to go into closed session. We can't put on the agenda the person's name and their job and their career situation. We can't do that. I don't see how you could. No. And
well, then why then?
Our manager is an at-will employee.
Well, please, I agree with that. Why then was it not possible to mention to Mr. Briggs before the meeting what you all had already decided? I think we're circumventing the whole point about whether something's personnel or not. Why couldn't you all tell Mr. Briggs, we're going to discharge Mr. Lamberson at the next meeting? Why couldn't you all have told me? Why couldn't you have told Mr. Lamberson that you were in the fire camp?
Mr. Baker, if you recall in August, I knew where you stood and where Mr. Briggs stood in the August motion that I made.
But what does that have to do with anything, Mr. Briggs?
Well,
that doesn't have a single.
I made the motion in August to dismiss him then.
That doesn't say anything at all about the December meeting, and we can go around this all night.
I understand.
And I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying you really can't. I mean, you can say I made that motion in August, but that doesn't explain at all, sir. It really does not why Mr. Lamberson and tell us we're going to have a fundamental change in our county government at our December meeting. You all didn't seem to think the need to do that. I don't think that was appropriate.
Okay.
I think that's backroom deals. I think that's sneaky to the public and to the other members of the board. And you all will never convince me of the other to the other line. Any of you could have told Mr. Briggs or Mr. Me, or excuse me, or me that you were going to do that because we couldn't change the vote. It was still going to be 3-2, or who knows? You might have convinced us. It might have been 4-1. It might have been 5-0. I don't know, but. By not doing that, by not extending that common courtesy to us, I think you violated everything that you all campaigned about: open government, cooperation, forgetting about politics, doing things in a fair and open way. And it's the hypocrisy of it, just to get down to it, the absolute hypocrisy that you two exhibited to the public by campaigning that way, going to Republicans and independents and saying, we'll work with them. We will do things regardless of politics. We only want to do what's best for the county. And then the first meeting, we discovered you three had already decided major things about the policy of the county and the future of the conduct of county government without even bothering to tell Mr. Briggs or me. I think that was shady, gentlemen. It really shady. So that's my opinion. And if I don't act polite sometimes to you all, it's because I am absolutely flabbergasted and amazed by the hypocrisy that you all showed in the political campaign about being so willing to be open and cooperative and not doing things in the backroom political ways that Madison County used to be, when actually you continued along the worst ways it's ever been. You know, one of the great things about Zeno Ponder was you knew exactly where he stood. I mean, like he said, I believe in a two-party system, a great big Democrat system and a party and a tiny little Republican party. That's fine, but when you go out and tell people, I'm not going to be political, I'm going to be working on both sides, I'm going to be open, I believe in open government, and then you all do that kind of thing, yeah, that really ticks me off, and I'm still ticked off about it, and will likely be for the next 23 months.
Well, Jim, I'm pretty ticked off myself.
Good.
And I'm going to tell you,
We share something.
Here's the issue. My phone has not rang one time. I have not received one email. I have not received one notice from one taxpayer, one citizen, anyone in this county that the decision to fire Alan Lamberson was wrong. No one has told me that we made a mistake, regardless of how you feel or anyone else feels. That's the way it is. You can call it hypocrisy, you can call it whatever you want to. But the real hypocrisy occurred when 2 weeks before we were sworn in, you called me, wanted me to take the chairmanship because you were going to nominate me. Bill was going to second it. I would vote for myself. I would have been the chairman 3-2. I told you then I didn't want to do that. You asked me to think about it, and I said, okay, I will. We came up here to do... No, I'm going to finish. We came up here for the swearing in, for the organizational meeting. You nominated me. Bill seconded. I think Norris nominated Wayne. I seconded. We voted on it. I voted against myself. So what you did was underhanded yourself.
No, sir, it was not, and I'll tell you why.
Did you call Wayne and tell him that you had that conversation with him? Did you call Norris and tell him that?
No, sir.
Then I stand hypocrisy.
No, sir.
Right back at you.
No, sir, because that organizational meeting, Mr. Rice, is when the chairman is to be elected.
You called me 2 weeks before that.
His term was over.
You called me 2 weeks before that, and you didn't notify anyone else on your... Did you get a call from Mr. Baker?
There was no need to.
Mr. Brinkman, did you get a call from Mr. Baker?
I did not.
Mr. Rice, what did you tell me during that conversation?
Don't raise your voice to me, Jim.
What did you tell me during the conversation? You told me you were not interested in it. So why do I call Mr. Brinkman and call Mr. Gentry after you said you were not interested in that?
Well,
that's why I didn't call
Mr.
Baker.
Chairman, I think Mr. Baker, you should have called me before.
No, sir. No, sir. It was actually you, Mr. Brinkman, that I was working against.
Hold on.
Point of order, gentlemen. Excuse me, sir. Point of order. We have to work together. Each of us are one vote. We got to get past this. The county, the people that voted us in, the people that we serve. Now, gentlemen, we need to take a good time out, go home and look in the mirror. But we need to get past past this. We've got to get past this. We have to work together, guys. And at least for 2 years. And we don't need every meeting to turn into an adversarial shouting match. It accomplishes nothing. It accomplishes nothing. So I know that we're in the middle, but right almost at the end. I don't know if this is appropriate. If I'm told it's an inappropriate motion, then so be it. But I, for one, think we need to adjourn unless there's some other pressing business, Mr. County Manager, and we all need to go home and take a deep breath. And remember, no matter what our differences are, we ought to respect each other as individuals. And we will try to do our best to do that.
Yes,
and not let our...
And I agree wholeheartedly.
That's my suggestion.
I respect everyone on this board, and I respect their position. I want to say this. I didn't come here today to argue about something that happened in the December meeting. Our work session today has an agenda, and we need to stick to that agenda. And in doing so, Forge, is there anything else right there that we need to discuss?
There's some economic development things. That's up to you all. Can certainly wait.
Okay.
It's not urgent.
Okay.
It needs to be handled soon.